I now call this meeting of the Upshur County Board of Education to order. We will continue with roll call. All members are present.
Jan Craig.
Here.
Sherry Dean.
Here.
Susan King.
Here.
William Parker.
Here.
Roy Wager.
Here.
I'm here. Mr. Collette.
Present.
Sarah Wills.
Here.
And Elaine Pugh.
Here. If you would please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Parker, will you lead us this evening?
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mrs. Dean, will you read the mission statement, please?
Yes, ma'am. Upshur County Schools is committed to creating a united community for educational excellence.
You have the agenda in front of you. Are there any additions or corrections to the agenda?
I would just like to point out that before we get to the approval of the minutes, on the April 29th meeting, inadvertently, the board member who read the agenda, or not the agenda, but the mission statement was left off. We will have to do that correction before we actually publish the official minutes.
Are there any other additions or corrections?
No, ma'am, as presented.
One question I would have is, when was the agenda available to the public for this meeting? Was that Thursday?
Oh, yes, we posted on the website on Thursday.
Is the West Virginia State Board of Education authorized to violate the Open Meetings Act since the holiday was yesterday? My understanding, or my opinion, it should have been available Wednesday.
And it was, but we just didn't post it, yeah. No, they can't violate it. I don't think they realized it, nor did we, Mr. Parker.
Okay.
That's an error on our part.
Well, I'm concerned if it was not available Wednesday, then some of the action could be challenged in court. It's my concern, that's all.
I will relay that concern and ask.
I need a motion to accept the agenda as presented.
So moved.
A second. Mr. Wager and Mrs. King. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
On to information. We have no delegations this evening, I believe.
Correct, no delegations.
Superintendent's update.
Okay. You have in front of you some data regarding our current chronic absent rate as of the 23rd of May. We were standing as a county at 21.25%. When we look back at the accountability rate for their chronic absenteeism in 24-25, that was at 23.58%. So that is an improvement. I'm hopeful that we're going to see that go back down to 20 or maybe even possibly 19 prior to the end of the school year. I do note when I was looking at the data that on Friday of the Strawberry Festival, we still do have an awful lot of outstanding unexcused absences that we don't have anything reported in or entered into the system yet. So that can also change what that rate may eventually be. Our average daily attendance rate as of 5/23 is at 92.95%. That is below the 95% that we like to see. So we're going to have to really pay closer attention to that next year. Funding streams that are attached to that have been lessened over the years, but still 95% almost guarantees us that we'll hit a closer mark on that chronic absence rate as well. The next piece of data that I have on here is final benchmark results showing you proficiency change over time. I have each of the schools listed. At the top, BOY stands for beginning of the year, MOY is middle of the year, and EOY is end of the year. So you can see in both ELA and math, each of the schools that participate in the benchmark, which is given to all K through 8 students in the county through Curriculum Associates iReady product, you can see the change that occurred over the school year. It's important to note that this is K-8, but when the accountability system comes out with those final results, that's only grades 3 to 8 plus 11 on how they perform on the SAT. So this is different because it is K-8. While I cannot share results from the GSA because they're still embargoed, this does translate closely to a lot of the outcomes that we see in grades 3 to 8 in each of these schools. French Creek is highlighted in green because of the large amount of growth and proficiency that you see across the board in both ELA and math. Base is like on their heels, as you can see. Rock Cave is in blue because they had the largest overall percentage gain in the year in proficiency across both ELA and math. That is a testament to how the teaching staff there really buckled down, and they really worked very hard with their students. When you're in a very small school like that, it's extremely difficult to show growth like that because there's a smaller number of students. So that's a tremendous accomplishment for them. BUMS is in red because as you go across, there wasn't a whole lot of change in any of those areas. So we have a lot of work to do academically across the board in ELA and math there. The administrative staff has been made aware of that, and I think some of the things that we're going to put into place next year will also help that improve over time. It's not that the teachers aren't working hard. It's just there are some things that we really need to dig deep down into to find out why certain things aren't showing progress like we would like for it to show. You can see overall that in ELA we started at the beginning of the year at 23% proficient. At the end of the year it shows 48. In math we were at 14 and we climbed all the way to 47%. So we did show some tremendous growth over the school year. And like I said, when we are able to discuss the GSA results as well as SAT, you will also see some change and improvement there as well. The next piece here is the board goals that were established at the beginning of the year, but what I provide is a progress update because I think it's important that everyone sees some of the progress that's being made across each of these goals. And I always like to wait till kind of towards the end of the year before I share this so that we have plenty of time in the academic year to see some things that have improved over time. So the first goal is about prioritizing academic achievement in areas that, but not limited to just to benchmark assessments, instructional leadership, multi-tiered systems of support, and the science of reading. So in academics, we just went over the benchmark assessments that you have there. Instructional leadership, we completed all the audits again in the school, which we will be providing updated reports for you at the next meeting. The coaching is still continuing and will continue till June 30th, and then we'll start over again July 1. And we did have monthly data meetings with our administrative staff at each of the schools. Multi-tiered system of support, we have developed the process, and an implementation and guidebook is coming out for the 25-26 school year. That will include academics, attendance, and behavior as required by statute. The science of reading, we implemented 95% phonics group this year. We've held monthly literacy meetings with the local science of reading staff, and we did develop a new implementation plan just last week in Morgantown with the assistance of the Department of Education on how we're going to approach things for 2025, including additional support in writing. Goal 2 was talking about improving special ed services to all students, which promotes positive academic outcomes and compliance with federal and state codes and policy. All identified areas in the special circumstance review were cleared as of December 17th, 2024 by the WVDE. We have had a decrease in state and OCR complaints. We are continuing to train our special education staff, and that includes staff at the board office. Our most desperate need in this area is certified teachers. We need certified special educators. And so we are out there looking for them every day. and hopeful that we'll make progress in that area. In goal 3, it was really about you all participating in trainings that are provided by the West Virginia School Board Association, and everyone completed their 7 hours, with some of you completing additional hours above the required 7. As we know, next year that is going to increase to 12 hours. Goal 4 was improving upon the deficiency was in the areas of operations, including those that are identified with reports from the WVDE, and additional areas identified through internal control processes since interventions and those discovered moving forward. So we talked about chronic absenteeism already. The finance audit removed some findings, with 16 repeated from the previous 23, 7 cleared, and 2 new. In personnel, files are cleaned up, but new items were found being out of compliance, including experience ledgers and some missing contracts. So those things are being worked on currently. In policies, we did have a new policy manual that went in place as of July 1st, so that should be one of those repeated findings that will disappear. Certification, all requested items have been cleared, and we do check monthly all new hires prior to putting their names on the agenda. Under federal programs and special education, when the audit was completed, there were grant awards that could not be found. There was no approved budget, no maintenance of effort. Expenditures were made without a contract. POs were dated after the invoice. Also, they could not trace some of the expenditures to an actual project application. Employees that were paid from special ed funds that should not have been paid with federal funds. In Title I, there was no program director approval for some expenditures. On one case, there was no contract that could be provided. There was not adequate documentation provided on some expenditures, and there was POs after the invoice date. Under the final year of ESSER, there were some things that there was no program director approval for expenditures, and there were POs dated after the invoice. In child nutrition, there were some expenditures that there was no program director approval for, and expenditures in some cases did not reconcile with the supporting documents that were provided. We did some additional trainings with you all on 12.3, as well as our principals and financial secretaries, because they were trained in December on policy 1224.4, which is the policy they must follow at the school level. We had some special board meetings. We had one on personnel, one on how the budget goes together, and then on facilities and maintenance. And then the last piece of data that you have there are the results of the survey that I sent out for each of you to complete, and I do thank you that all 5 of you were able to complete that. And you can go down through and you can see the areas where most were either strongly agree or agreed, and there are some areas of disagreement, and that's natural because some may not feel the same way that others do, and that's why we do this survey. Based on these results, then, what we will do is we will look at the current goals that we have in place. We will determine from this survey then what we want to think about changing moving forward. And we would ask that you think about some of those for next board meeting, because I will bring some draft ideas back. But I think one of the things that stood out to me was making sure that we discuss the county goals and means of achieving them, because I know we didn't spend a lot of time on the strategic plan itself, naming the goals and talking about the results, but that's what I try to provide through data each time, and I need to be more aware of making sure that that's tracing back to a strategic plan goal, or even one of the goals that we've set for the board or myself through the state. One of the other areas that we're concerned about is necessary information to make decisions about issues. I think that some of that is a natural feeling through this state takeover process, and I've been working with some folks that support me at the department in ways to help make that better for all of you. And then number 12, about the specific measurable goals, frequently monitoring progress towards meeting them and making changes as needed. Again, that's something that I need to point out when I'm sharing data with you as to which goals do those relate to. whether that be strategic planning or it be your board goals or even my goals for the year. You all, policy making, it kind of just comes to you. I understand why you rated that in that area. Another one was number 16, the established schedule for reviewing policies for relevance and alignment with state policy. You will be starting to do that after July 1 because we're going to go on the rotation as we do have listed in our updated policy. Number 21, that board's goals are established and communicated to all stakeholders. That will become front-facing on the on our webpage, beginning next year. Establishing a process for communicating information with the public. That will be something that you'll want to look at, and we can look at the policy that is on our books for that. And then number 27, about you all communicating with government leaders, whether that is local, state, and national, on issues dealing with public education. I'm not sure that some folks who serve in those roles are open to much feedback and conversation with all of us. And yet some do reach out for some feedback. But I wanted you to see the outcomes of the survey and then start thinking about the current goals that we have established, and perhaps thinking about what do we want to do moving forward so that we can then establish those goals and get those approved through the department, and we can start working on those then after July 1. Do y'all have any questions for me?
I have a couple. If
Yes.
that's okay. On the update, the goal 1,
Yes,
the multi-tiered system of support,
yes.
is that an actual guide that's handed out to educators or to teachers or to everybody? Is that an actual guide that's going to be
Yes, ma'am.
available?
Yes, ma'am. And there will be training provided too, so that everybody understands the makeup of the system, as well as whose roles and responsibilities are throughout carrying out that multi-tiered system of support.
Okay, and then will we be able to get something
Yes, you
also?
will.
So
Yes.
we can see that?
Mhm.
Okay, and my second question is, on the federal programs,
Yes,
all of these, I don't know, what are these called? Are they-
well, they're findings from audit.
Findings?
Yes.
So are there, what about accountability for these types of these findings?
Yes, ma'am. There, and we've already written an improvement process plan about how we're going to address these to move them on, so that they would not reappear as a finding.
So there's nothing that happens as far as accountability for all of this that's happened, and they just get on an improvement, is that what you're saying?
No, I mean, no. We have to put a plan together to share on how we're not going to have those things repeat themselves again. So we've given dates and we've given things certain that have to be completed so that those things don't occur. Our problem with our audit is we don't get the findings until the end of March, so it only gives us 3 months to correct everything that shows on that audit. But I can tell you that some of those things are already under correctable action and have been addressed.
So are these from the last year, the last year?
Yes, they were from FY '24.
So from the takeover was prior to that, so shouldn't those have been corrected already?
Those were new findings based on FY '24.
Okay,
They were not found when they completed the audit in FY '23. I asked for them to specifically look at those 3 program areas in this audit.
okay, so is someone not held accountable for all of these things that have not occurred?
Yes, a person is held accountable.
Okay.
Yes. But because it's related to personnel, I can't go into
I
specifics.
understand, I understand. I just, it wasn't just it was the special ed and the federal, both, the Title I and the special ed.
Yes.
Okay. And then my only other, and I think you already understand this about this, that because, quote, we're in state takeover, there were some things like when I would reading some of these that were strongly disagreed. You understand why?
Yes,
Because we don't have a say, we can't say
Correct.
one way or another. So it
Correct.
wasn't necessarily a negative thing, it was
Correct.
just a, this is what's happening.
yes,
Okay,
yes.
okay.
Some were very hard to answer because of
Yeah,
this
takeover.
takeover.
Very- very
Absolutely.
difficult.
Exactly.
Do you have anything else?
That's it.
Okay, board member committee meeting updates. Mr. Parker, do you have anything?
No, I do not. The Stockton Youth Center Board has not had a meeting.
Mrs. King?
Yes, we met with Parks and Recreations last week, and of course, the pool was the big thing, and they opened up the pool on Saturday, and, or that was the designated date to open. They had a financial report. The Trails people had around $4,475 in their treasury, and Parks and Recreation around $10,800. They have spent over $4,000 on chemicals and such for the pool, sleeves, paint, different things like that. Battery pack for the ADA chair, which was around $550, and lifeguard sleeves for the pool. They are gonna need a pool sweeper, except that it's quite expensive, and so it's not there yet. Couple of exciting things. Of course, the race, they're gonna have the big races, the Fitness Armada on June 7th and 8th. And they're gonna have pickleball tournaments, tennis, basketball, mile run, kid mile run, 10K. They're gonna have, hopefully, middle school track kids involved, tennis team. So they're hoping that that's gonna go over very well. They're gonna also have strongman. This is pretty exciting. They are gonna completely redo the Science Center, Carnegie Science Center, the sports part of it. And they have a giant rock wall. They have a ball simulator, they have a laser, they have all kinds of sports equipment that they do not want. Jeremiah McCord, bless his heart, went up there, and they said you can take whatever you want. So, he is going to take the rock wall, the ball simulator, the laser, some really neat stuff to bring down to, for the kids, at the pool area. So he has to do that at some time, by this fall, and he's getting a group of people together so that they can make that happen. Of course, opening day, I told you, was the May 24th. They're gonna have night swims all this week, except for the rain here. When there's no parties, it's gonna be usually from 6 to 9. They've already employed between 22 and 24 lifeguards, and the lifeguards are going to do pretty much everything. They're gonna do the snack bar, they're gonna do the front, and they're gonna lifeguard. I think that's about it. They are doing a race on the trails on June 15th, and they are doing some repair stuff on that as well. There's a bridge they have to put in over one of the marshes to connect. And they've only spent so far around $900 for the race, making, just to basically mark the trails, food, snacks, stuff like that. And that's gonna be June 15th, and that's on the actual trail. And I think that's it.
Thank you. Mr. Wager?
I gave my report at the May 13th meeting, because that's when we had the Fred Everly meeting.
Right.
But I will say, the graduation went very well. They're gonna have to find even a bigger place.
Yeah.
They thought they had plenty of room at the chapel. That was crazy.
That was standing room.
That was wild.
Yeah.
Unless we build a bigger stadium, I don't know what we're gonna put them on. But it was very nice. They always do such a
Wonderful.
great job. And I'm glad to see a lot of board members and superintendent was there. Superintendents and assistant, I meant superintendents.
Yes.
Plural.
That's, till next week, till next month.
Mrs. Dean, Public Library?
We met last Wednesday. and discuss the ramp dinner, which was a success. We have the summer reading program that starts June 1st and goes to the 30th, and I recommend that parents sign their children up. It's a really fun time, and it's a great program to be involved in. There was a spring middle school art show, 7th and 8th grades, and that I walked in on, and it was fabulous. Their artwork was just wonderful, and their teachers give out rewards, and I totally did enjoy. It was at the library. They had it at the library, and they had all their artwork displayed there, and it was very enjoyable, very nice. They did a good job. Of course, right now they are writing grants, trying to get more money in to keep the library going and to make it a better place for our students and adults to come. So that was it. Until next time.
The 4-H board has not met, but they are actively working on camps, which are starting this Sunday, I believe. And that's the big push for summer. We're up to minutes, policies, contracts, and agreements.
Just a reminder of the change that we need to make before we actually publish the April 29th minutes.
With that in mind, could I have a motion to accept those minutes with that one small correction?
So moved.
Mr. Parker,
Second.
Mrs. Dean. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Agreements.
Okay, you have, and was shared with you, the agreement with Lori Bailey to provide psychological evaluations and reports for the next fiscal year. You will notice a change here that we're showing you what the funding source is. So it will be coming from special education through the FY26 budget. Upshur County Schools and Apple, a statement of work with repairing iPads. The funding source is coming from technology for FY25 and 26. Also, through Apple Financial Services, a master lease purchase agreement of computer equipment. That funding source is Tools for Schools and Technology at a price tag of $130,717.13. And that's for replacement of MacBooks here at the high school, and we will be going to iPads here. So that's what will be utilized across the county. Continuing on with contracts.
I do have a
Oh, I'm
couple
sorry. Yes.
questions on the agreements. if I
Sure.
could.
I'm going to pull it up while you.
All right.
Okay, got it.
On Lori Bailey.
Yes.
For just this small item is, it mentions insurance in item 7, but we did not designate an amount. I know she provided a certificate of insurance where the limits of liability are $200,000 and $600,000. I don't know if that's sufficient or not. And we are not listed as an additional insured. I would think we would want to be listed as an additional insured on every agreement we have with a provider such as this. So their insurance kicks in. There's no question that their insurance would kick in first then.
I do know that that's the recommended limit of liability for a person who operates under that. But
Okay.
as far as us being as an additional name insured, I'm not sure if that's a requirement, but I certainly could check on
I
that.
know it's not a requirement.
Yeah,
I
but
do
it
know
might
that.
be a good thing to do.
Yeah, and on the Apple items, their limits of liability, my past experience, which is item 5 under their agreement, it limits them to the cost of the contract, basically. And I would routinely delete those or have that deleted, but I know we don't have a say in this. I would think the state would, and on that financing, that $130,000,
Mhm.
That's 522,000 when you count the number of years involved.
That is correct, in
Plus-
total.
Plus a 55,000 kick for, I don't remember that. Is that something we could use our P card for? Or do we know?
I can double check on that. I don't know if they'll accept the P card or without charging us the fee.
I mean, if they charge a fee, it's not worth it.
Right.
but
No.
If they don't charge a fee, it's a few $1,000s
Yeah.
that we get as a return. Thank you.
Sure. So under contracts, you will see that there are a number to curriculum associates, because not only are they our benchmark provider, but they are also who we have for our math program, Ready Math and grades K to 8. So you will see that we use different funding sources to be able to provide the benchmark assessment. When the Third Grade Success Act was passed, no funding came to be able to do that initially, but then we did receive some funding so that we'd be able to do benchmark assessments. The grade 4 to 8 benchmark we do take from step 7D. We also have with them a toolbox for teachers. What that allows teachers to do is to take the data that they receive on their students, and there are different things that they can do to set up learning paths through that toolbox. So that is funded through Title I. Then we also have the Ready Classroom Math PD, which comes from Title I as well. This is the first year of implementation, and part of the process is additional PD based on findings of areas that perhaps we struggled in implementing this past school year. We also have iReady PD that is provided not only to our teachers but to our administrative staff for understanding results and putting together the pathways, which you will see next that we do. That's an extra part of this, which is an iReady Learning Pathways. And what that does is that enables teachers to look at the results of students and develop individual pathways for students to continue to learn and understand those standards that they do not master through the benchmark assessment. So those change based on their performance through the pathways, and it continues to grow with them as they continue to grow. We also have a cost for the iReady Math consumable textbooks, which comes out of step 7 at $71,000, and then also through Curriculum Associates, we have the ALEX assessment tool, and that is used here at the high school, and that also comes from step 7D, so that we can work with our students here particularly in math. And it's totally online and digital, just as iReady is, except for the consumable textbook. Any questions on those contracts?
Again, the purchasing card question, whether we could utilize that or not. And the last one, I think, is McGraw-Hill, instead of Curriculum Associates.
Oh, thank you. Yep. That was a mistake. We will correct that. So the ALEX is actually McGraw-Hill, not Curriculum Associates.
Yes.
Yes. The MOAs, that's the communities and schools that we sign to receive that grant, and you can see the grant for fiscal year 25-26 is $210,000, and that will cover site coordinators at BUHS, BUMS, Base, Union, and Tenerton. Those were the originally agreed upon sites that this grant was to cover. The system decided to go ahead and use general funds to cover all the other schools. We did apply for an additional grant, and if we are successful in that, then we will be able to provide coverage at some of our other schools as well for communities and schools. Our MOUs with the West Virginia Department of Ed Office of Child Nutrition, and that's for the reimbursement of meals and snacks, which comes through the Child Nutrition and Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Grant. And then also with the Upshur Buchanan Health Department, which provides services around permits, food handler certification, and environmental education and consulting. And that funding source is the Child Nutrition grant that we receive. Any questions about those two areas? Okay, now we can move on to the consent agenda. The facilities request from Diamond Dealers Travel Corp. They are going to start at the end of this month through mid-August of 2025. And then we also have here for the approval of the state, which they have reviewed, the BUMS football boosters, track boosters, and the middle school boys basketball boosters. Each one of those operate outside of the school, so they did have to provide certain documents to us for us to be able to put them through the approval process. We did receive from another outside group at the middle school, but they are not being brought before you for approval because they are missing a very important piece, which is the 501c3 application and approval. So I cannot put that before you until that is actually in place.
Would these organizations be considered quasi-public? Any funds they have? Similar to other school-related
Yeah, they
groups?
must do financial statements, they
Yes.
must, yes, there are certain things that they do have to do.
Subject to audits?
Yes, sir,
Okay.
yes, sir. Any other questions on those?
I think we missed the word boosters on Buchanan Upshur Middle School.
No,
They're not boosters?
they're called Buchanan Upshur Middle School Boys Basketball Inc.
Inc., okay.
Okay.
The financial.
Yes. So tonight, of course, it's a matter of just information. The approval for the 25-26 budget, and that has basically already been approved by the state anyway, but we have to do it and put it on an agenda for those purposes. And then Sarah can move on and get that to the board meeting, their deadline of May 31st or May 30th? May 30th, so that they can have it in their hands and they can put it and do what they need to do on their June agenda with the State Board of Education. Any questions on that? Okay, then we're ready to move on to personnel.
All right, very good. As I spoke with you last time, our personnel agenda list was very, very short. But as we move through the ending of our personnel season, notification time is all concluded, but now we move into job placement. So as different personnel who had received either transfer or termination letters are affected by other people either resigning, retiring, or taking another job within the system, that creates a domino effect that will continue to move from now until about August 1st. So at this time, what you see, we do have just a very few number of resignations. People either leaving for closer to home, those kind of things. At the same time, we have a large number of employment approval pending. That goes into the second page. A lot of those people are hired from either from within the system into a new position or from outside the system. Again, trying to get more certified personnel within the system as much as possible. We've also continued to try and get substitute personnel, especially in the service realm. I think I interview or talk to somebody almost daily, and so those continue to be building up, which is a positive. And then we have a large number of extra duty professional contracts that people are moving into, and as you can see, the wax crew has been filled for implementation there off of our personnel season decisions to shorten those contracts for custodians. So a lot of the plans and things that we are working on are coming into place. And of course, the first round of ECAT hiring due to the Third Grade Success Act, that's the last page. All those placements are basically from that initial posting of 12 positions. From there, we do have a series of transfers at the end, and of course, those are an elongation or what Mrs. Taransky and I call the ripple effect of the same. So you may see some names again at the next meeting, similar names that are on here, and they may be moved into different positions. Again, this procedure continues on or around until about 20 days prior to school starting. And then at that time, it'll start to slow down. But things are falling into place, and we're very pleased with that progress at this time. At the very end, we do have a few more people that have had some fundamental issues and have requested FMLA and a donation of sick leave days for personal reasons. Any questions to anything that's on the list?
No?
Thank
We're
you.
down to future meetings, which our next meeting is June 10th at 6 o'clock here at the high school. Do you have anything else?
That's it.
On future meetings, a meeting to review the audit findings. If the auditor's office is not interested in attending, could we still have that special meeting to review the audit findings, to go through that as a board and with the finance office and the superintendent? Is that a possibility?
We can look, if it would be okay, it would probably need to be during the day.
Yeah, that's fine, yes.
Because, people are out trying to
Yeah.
take vacation days through the month of June. So, we could look to see.
If June, July, and if the auditor's office, we could let them know when it is, leave it up to them if they want to attend. But do we have information, access to more detail on their findings?
Yeah, oh, yeah,
Okay,
oh, yeah, we do have the final reports back.
okay. Yes, on the audit report, as what personnel, whatever the findings are. Another item, as a part of that meeting, separate meeting, whatever it may be, we need to review payments to board members. I
Yes.
reviewed my payments,
Yes.
and they're incorrect.
Correct.
I've been paid for one meeting twice. I've been paid, I don't know if it's a training. I've been paid for a meeting. According to the documentation, it says a board meeting. We didn't have a board meeting that day. So I don't know if that's a training I attended, but that's a serious issue.
Yes, sir.
Board members can be removed from office for matters such as this.
If it's a training, it's a board meeting. It's considered a board meeting because we're all together.
I'm talking about 2 trainings that you're allowed to receive throughout the year through the West Virginia School Boards Association. You can receive payment for up to 2 trainings, attending through that.
Right, that's
Uh,
correct.
So I have serious concerns.
Gotcha.
And
Yeah, because I turn one of these in after every meeting,
I know we do. It's not,
but we do, you're right. It
one
needs to
issue
review
is,
it.
and I don't know if it
Yes.
affects other board members, that I remember in my review, December the
Yeah,
10th.
mine's different too.
It's listed on 2 different payments.
What's the difference if it's a training?
And the correct, if we need to make a correction, it's not, well, I'll short you. No, it's retract the December 10th payment and reissue,
Yes,
and for the other meeting or whatever.
yes.
And then if we could sometime during a meeting, special meeting, whatever, whenever, I'd like some legal updates on the outstanding cases.
I've asked for them
Okay.
to find some dates where they could come and do that with you.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Help me understand, if we can have up to 60 meetings a year,
Yes.
are those paid meetings?
You can have
So
up to
wouldn't a
40.
training be
If up
the
to
same
40.
as a board meeting?
Up to
Oh,
40.
Up to 40.
So wouldn't any of our trainings, which are considered board meetings,
You can get paid for 2 of those. That's,
so the others are voluntary? I can't say the word. Okay.
yes.
You're talking about trainings just in the county?
School Board Association
School-
meetings.
Oh, for
SBA.
those.
Yeah.
Okay,
Then
so
you
like
can
in
have them in the
Charleston.
county?
The county ones are board meetings.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
I understand
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
That's not my question.
Okay.
No, but
I
what
think
Mr.
I'll-
Parker's referring to are the 2 that you can be paid for through the West Virginia School Boards Association.
So basically, that covers the 7 hours
Yes.
Yes,
or whatever.
yes,
So
Yes.
just who pays that, them or the
We do.
Upshur County?
County.
we
So
do.
if we haven't, do we have to submit something?
No,
Mine?
Okay,
no, because we get invoiced, so we know who attends.
okay.
So we have an invoice to back us up for payment for those.
Okay.
Do I have a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Mr. Parker,
Second.
Mrs. King?
And that, June 10th will be also, it's, okay, 6, okay.
Yep.
We
All
don't know
those
about
in
the
favor,
24th.
please?
Want to make sure.
We still don't know about the 24th.
No, we're not going to have one on the
Oh,
24th.
okay. Was that in the message? I must have missed it. Because we
I think I said at the last meeting we would not be having that
said
on
we
the
might
24th.
not. I think,
Yeah.
I thought, maybe that's where I got
Yeah.
confused. Okay, that's fine.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned at 6:45.